Thanks for joining us today. Welcome to 1 Million Cups. Real quick, who's here for the first time? Wow. Thank you. Who's a regular? I know there's a lot of regulars here. Okay, that's a big group of regulars. So, welcome to 1 Million Cups. 1 Million Cups is an educational program where we bring two entrepreneurs to you to share their entrepreneurial journey. We do a 6-minute presentation and then we do some Q&A. We've got 3 people that are going to run around with mics. So during the Q&A period, just raise your hand. We'll let you know we see you, and then we'll come and get you on your turn. So please be thinking of some questions. We've got an announcement sheet where you've got room for notes during the presentation if you want to write those down. And Melissa Roberts and I, my name is Brian Azorski. Melissa Roberts and I are the organizers, the community organizers, and we've got a special announcement at the break that we will share with you. But I want to do a shout out to the Sumner Academy Young Leadership Program over here. Welcome. And we also have the Ice House facilitators. Can you guys raise your hands? From all over the world. Canada, South Korea, Vietnam, Chile, Cyprus, and South Africa. Welcome. Great to have you here. So let's get things started. We've got Blake Scantlin with the Ponytail Cap. Come on up. And I know I've had this problem that's going to be solved with us today. I'm not going to tell you why I had this problem, but come on up.
All
Welcome.
Right. Okay, hi everyone, how are you? Okay, great. My name is Blake Scantlin. I am the creator of LB Enterprises and the inventor and marketer of the female baseball cap, which I branded and named as the Ponytail Cap. So how I came about this is, as a young girl, I was a major baseball cap lover, and I had a lot of hair, long, and it was big. And I was wearing a regular baseball cap, a low ponytail, which is something I didn't really like, and I always felt limited. And I was always wearing my ponytail cap a little bit more like this. And what I did is I was always getting frustrated. So I would push it up in the back, and about so right here, I would have a bubble on top of my head. So if you're anyone around me, anywhere where I was going, you'd never really understand that I was always aggravated with that style. So one day it hit me. I was sitting there trying to figure out how am I going to make a baseball cap for a more suited female adjustment style and fit. So what I did one day, I went home and I cut out the back of my baseball caps and I hand sewn them. And then I started wearing my new baseball cap everywhere I was going. And all these women and all these girls and all these people, they would always walk up to me and say, "Hey, how did you get your hat like that?" And I would show them my little baseball cap. And that was the beginning of the female baseball cap. And so after that part, a little bit of background about me is I come from entrepreneurs, network marketers, and inventors from my family. So I went out and I told my family, "Hey, I'm going to go patent this hole in the back of the cap." And they looked at me and my parents and they said, "There's no way you can patent the hole in the back of a baseball cap. It's been around since like the 1800s. And I was like, "No, this is what I'm going to do because I come from this family." And so June 5th, 2001, I went out and got my first United States patent, and I patented the hole from 30 to 70%. Okay. So I made my first test market hat. I made about 1,500 hats in this color pink with just a girl on the front, very simple. I thought that this is what girls like. This was in my young 20s. And so I went out across the world. I specialized in the kiosk business. I'll tell you more about that later in the Q&As. But more importantly is that what you do is you do a test market first, and after you've done your test market, and if you're successful, you want to go to the next level. And so what I did is I went to Las Vegas, Nevada to the Magic Convention, and I could go out and I could meet the front and the headline of all the headwear apparel. This is where headwear, handbags, accessories, jeans, whoever you can think of, So what I did is I went out and I signed my first deal with AutoCap International, which did small cataloging across the United States for little Amy's and Jamie's softball teams. Obviously, I haven't seen all the little teams that are wearing the hats. Some Sonics brought it on. But they did in the first 3 or 4 years about $500,000 in sales without doing any marketing and major marketing behind that. So after that, let's fast forward a little bit. I want to go to the next level. You always want to continue to go to the next level. I wanted to go into licensing. I was like excited. I want to be Major League Baseball, NBA, basketball. So what happened is I signed a deal with Stewart and Coliseum Athletics, which specialized in college. Stewart wanted to put me in the head of the promotions. He's like, Blake, I want you to sign these deals. Who are these people? Twins Enterprises, New Era, and American Needle. These are all the people. If you buy hats in baseball, football, basketball, any sports that you can think of, those are the hats that you buy. So I took my hat, I took my patent with all these people, and I said, hey, here's my hat, take me on, let's do a royalty deal, get checks, etc. And everybody said no, obviously. And they also told me that there was no reason for women in accessories and sports, and it was only 20% of the market. So that was a long time ago, but it was a lot of guys in the business. So a little bit later, I was thinking, as seen on TV, this is about 2010, we're watching this Snuggie infomercial, the pet eggs and more. And I went out, I found out how expensive that was gonna cost me for an infomercial, which was $20,000. And I thought, wow, that's really expensive. So about that time, I came home and I created my own infomercial with my family and my friends.
Ever have problems getting your hair into your hat? Are you frustrated with old styles? New, the Ponytail Cap. It's as easy as 1, 2, 3. The Ponytail Cap is great for everything, such as baseball, softball, or even golf. What about tennis? Multiple activities, exercising, driving in a car, even the beach. The Ponytail Cap for every hair day. Transform the original baseball cap into something new and stylish. It's the ultra soft garment wash cap for every hair day. Wear it up, wear it down, one size fits all. It comes in 3 great colors, pink, white, and black. Also comes in kid sizes. New, the Ponytail Cap.
All right. Yay. Okay. In 2011, I formed my corporation, LB Enterprises. In 2012, I wrote a business plan for $20 million for an as-seen-on TV corporation. That's what it takes to make it. That's how much money it takes. I didn't get that money. I learned about sporting industry, how much money it makes. It's a $35 billion sporting apparel business. Caps do $3 billion in business a year. As-seen-on TV does $150 billion in business a year. I didn't get the money, but what I did is I went on my own in 2013. I started doing trade shows, state fairs, holiday boutiques, holiday bazaars, selling other people's products, started saving my own money. So why I came here today, this is kind of like the story of the Wizard of Oz, where Dorothy goes out, she goes all the way to Oz to find all the answers. So I've traveled all across the United States, from West Coast to East Coast, selling other people's products in all these shows, saving my own money. And then when I thought about it, I was like, what if I came home and I could go to Kauffman Stadium, I could be a part of the Angels Network, or maybe I could go to 1 Million Cups. I could create Chiefs hats, Kansas City Royals hats, or KC Sporting, because we really do have great teams here in Kansas City. Instead of going to a trade show in whatever city I'm ending up in, why couldn't I just go to a stadium with 60,000 fans, create a kiosk like this with 4 women doing direct sales, bringing you over and saying, hey lady, would you like to come over and check out the new Ponytail Cap, et cetera, and bring you over and you can try on a hat, and you can see it in pink, black, red, or the other colors of the teams, which are black, white, et cetera. But so what I came here today is I'm looking for a reference, someone with a contact, because licensing is very expensive. A lot of people already said no. I need someone with directly already tied in with Kauffman's, Chiefs, and KC Sporting, that actually can take me directly into the facility. I'd love to create a kiosk, and I'd love to make it just a hometown feel in the stadium with a kiosk and do something directly with the stadiums. And that's it, you guys.
Great, thank you. All right. We are ready for some questions. Raise your hand if you have a question. Okay, I'll take this up front.
I think this is awesome, so congratulations. Also want to buy a couple hats before I leave for my daughter.
Okay, we got two here. Oh, I'm sorry. We got a mic for you.
Okay. I don't have a direct contact with the soccer team, Sporting KC, but I was in communication with the president, and I've noticed that he responds emails on Sundays.
Okay.
So if you give me a card, I'll give you his email address, and he does. It's like 7 o'clock at night on Sundays, he responds to emails.
Okay, that would be great. Thank you.
What is the cost per hat? And do you have different emblems and stuff you put on it and inventory levels?
Inventory levels, obviously, the more I buy in wholesale is the lower the cost. So my price points aren't as great as I'd like them to be. I'm between probably $2 and $3 per hat. And I did do these Kansas City hats. These are just samples. Because I'm not selling them, I don't have to have a licensing with the hat manufacturing company, but ultimately the price would go up a little bit more because you're using team logos for licensing.
Okay, I've got a quick question for you. Are you currently having your caps manufactured?
Yeah, I've been using the source. I've been using AutoCap International for the last 10 years. They're the first deal I signed. They're easy to work with. They're out of California. But I'm thinking about going back over to a Kansas company, Sportsman Headwear, just because it's in my own backyard. It's easier to get to.
Question right there. You go. Thank you.
Are you only looking at professional sports teams? Would you consider looking at Big 12 college teams, for
I would
example?
love to do Big 12 college teams,
Okay.
big time. I'd love to do softball divisions for women across the United States.
Okay, I might be able to help, but we'll see. I'll talk to you afterwards.
Okay.
Okay. We got a question from the Twitter.
Oh, yeah, it's not from the Twitter, it's just from me. So I noticed that your mom is here today. She seems like she's really involved in your company. What's it like working so closely with your mom in a professional atmosphere?
We work side by side all through 2013, and she's fun. She's awesome. She's a great listener, and she's also great for feedback. I don't think that everybody believes in working with family. I definitely believe in working with family. I can trust her. Not only that, when I'm not around, she's just a good storyteller. She's got a great personality. Everyone's got a different flavor. So she's this sweet and the mom as to where I'm always push, 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 go, 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 and outgoing. I enjoy working with her. She works as hard as me, and if I had to rely on anybody in my life, I would put my bet on her. Yeah.
Got a question here in the back?
Yes, can you set up a store, a little arrangement like that in front of a stadium?
Yeah, really the idea of this is a bit bigger than what I want.
Yeah.
What you really want to go with is, when you're walking in the mall and you see a circle surrounding kiosk like this, that's really what I want to place. This is the best image. So just a circular, you put 4 women on each side, ponytail cap, and then you put, the 4 or 5 colors that you're going to have for the team of that game for the stadium.
Okay.
And then create some type of licensing or royalty deal with the stadium and just do it like that.
All right, you'll give us your contact information because I got an idea for you.
Yes.
Okay.
And if you don't have a ponytail, how do the caps look with just short hair?
You know what? I've had a lot of buyers through my test market and times. A lot of women just wear it because it is not as hot as a regular baseball cap. And for guys, just to let you know on the balding effect, I specified this for a female baseball cap, but I've had a lot of men purchasers. I'm just advancing it more towards females right now. But a lot of guys like it as well. African Americans with dreads love it, et cetera, et cetera. But you just wear it, and then if you have shorter hair, you spike it up, put a little bit of hairspray in it, and make it stylish. That's what the other girls have done.
One more here in the back.
Hi, I'm a high school marketing teacher, and I have a school store in my high school. Would you consider selling to school stores and customizing the hats with the logos of the school?
Yeah, as long as the order is 72 pieces, that's all I have to do in order to create a box for you.
Okay? I'd like your card before I leave. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Got a question up front?
Blake, so I got a question. There's a lot of young, aspiring entrepreneurs in the room, and can you talk about the process of, cutting, the back of a hat, and then like actually figuring out how to patent it, and being told no, and just all these things that like young people have ideas all the time, and it, just encouraging them to go out in their garage and try and, cut
Right.
something up, or, can you talk about that process and
Yeah.
what you've learned?
Yeah, these are all the kids, right? Most of them. In any idea that you have, the first step is a prototype. That's how you get to your invention. That's how you get to your design. Until you can get to that step. And what I did do as a young girl, I made my first hat and I cut it and I sewed it up. Then I went to Walmart and some other places and I looked on the inside of the tags and I started reading the labels and the logos, how I could get an actual real prototype made by I Did Headwear or whatever you're going to do. You find someone else that already makes it and manufactures and distributes it, and they can make a prototype sample for you, and it's not really very expensive to make that at all. And in the nose in life, that's the tricky part. The tricky part is a lot of people are always going to tell you that it's just not going to work. You got to take steps. I'm a firm believer in A, B, C, D, E, and F. You can't think of A and want to get on E because it's never going to work. So you got to start small. You got to start with your prototype. Then you got to do a test market. Are your colors right? And the hardest part that I had actually through this whole entire process, it wasn't the hat and it wasn't the prototyping. It was the branding and the marketing, the slogan, and the colors. Pink, black, and white, the ponytail cap for every hair day, the ponytail cap. I followed a lot of the Snuggies branding. Find something like the product that you have and follow their business method because that's why they're successful. And that's what makes you successful. That's what makes you sound better. And that's what puts a little ting in your voice when you talk to people to go, transform the original baseball cap into something new and stylish. That's pulled right from the Snuggie. It's as easy as steps 1, 2, 3. And I just take guidelines and formulas from other companies and just apply them to yourself, apply it to your product, make it look polished, and love what you do. Because if you don't love what you do, you're not really going to sound like you love what you do, and you're not going to sell it as well.
Question here on your left.
Okay.
I'd like to commend you for your great presentation. It was very good, and I really appreciate the fact that you were not afraid to go to the difficult process of getting to where you're at right now. The other thing is, I will piggyback on what one of the other ladies said. It seems like there would be a great market in the school facilities for Little League Baseball,
Yeah.
moms, dads, kids, and the whole thing. So good job.
Thank you.
Questions? Blake, quick question for you. So currently in terms of licensing, it's at this point you want to get into licensing. It's a long process. It's an expensive process, as you know. Have you tried to connect with companies that already have the licenses and then provide them, just manufacture the caps and let them do the sales?
Yeah, that was the original idea. I believe that's on the 4th slide for licensing. I went with Stuart and Twins Enterprises, the New Era, and all the major corporations. I even tried to do like a celebrity deal with a big tennis player. She had the blonde hair many years ago. It's really hard to go up against guys in sports, and there's nothing wrong with that because guys lead the world. A lot of guys lead the world, but they can't connect. They don't have long hair. They don't deal with ponytails. If they had to deal with purses and heels and makeup, well, who knows, right? But I had a lot of hard time dealing with that, and that's why I feel like really just bringing it back into Kaufman or bringing it into Royals and bringing it into the KC Sporting. I can just get that on site. And then I can get the consumer walking by, you get the 60,000 fans, and you can start doing the numbers and doing the demos because it's a demo product. You show women. And that was the big step about that to market direct television thing is here we are, problem to a solution, problem. How am I gonna find every girl in the room in every city and show her about a female baseball cap? That's why I went more towards direct television. And then after direct television, which if you have a good product, it lasts for about 2 years. And then you move over into licensing. And then these guys come out, the NFLs and the Major League Baseballs, because you are showing them numbers. And everybody wants to know how many numbers you're doing per month. And then once you're showing them the units, everyone jumps on board.
Question here on your left.
I'm sorry, we got the question back there.
It's all right. Do you have an online store?
No.
Okay, that's all I had then. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, question up front.
You know, Hallmark just opened their monogram store on the plaza.
Okay.
And that could be a great venue for you to take your item in there and have them do the monograms. So they probably have online sales as well.
Okay.
Question here in the middle.
Okay.
So you mentioned that the demonstration of the caps is a great way to sell it. In light of, I know it would cost extra, but have you thought about maybe giving a free product to a representative on a baseball team or a softball team, having them wear it, people come up to them, maybe some kind of...
Yeah, in 2012, my cousin Melena Scantlin was part of the Chiefs cheerleaders, and she's tied in with all the Chiefs cheerleaders and the director and the choreographers. So I made them hats. And I sent it to the head of that, and she said, Blake, because I don't have the licensing and I don't have the go from the CEO of the stadium, I can't place it on the cheerleaders, because that was my idea. Put it on the cheerleaders, you put it on the team, on the squad, because they change about 7 times. And then that would, so the fans could see that the cheerleaders are wearing it, which then therefore mean that they could actually buy it. You see, you want to have a way to show so the women can actually walk up and say, hey, I'd like to get one of those ponytail cap things on the cheerleaders. So yeah, I thought about that.
We got 2 questions here, right in the middle.
Okay.
Just a quick one. Have you considered contacting the larger golf and tennis clubs, the country clubs?
I did.
Okay.
I did Titleist, TaylorMade. I did a whole entire, all the golf caps. They looked great, by the way. And even the head of division for women's LPGA, she also said no.
Well, I was thinking more in terms of the local ones in their pro shops. I was just at Blue Hills yesterday, and they have huge tennis and swimming and, of course, the golf programs for the teens. And my gosh, I'm just thinking if you walk in there with that, you'd have women and parents lining up to see it and buy it.
Yeah, the only catch that I ever had with it is a visor does look like a visor. I don't like visors, and I think that's okay, but it looks like a baseball cap from the front and actually sitting on the shelf, and that's kind of where that product placement and demonstration and or, because I don't think that they're going to hang it on the rack like this. So with a tag, it looks like this. So I would have to maybe go the extra mile for packaging, so you can walk up and actually just read it and go, oh, okay, more like this box, and that's kind of why I went with, it's got the thing and the sides and the easy steps 1, 2, 3, and, but yes, I've definitely thought of it. I'm open, and I could create some type of packaging, but it just gets a little bit more expensive, that's all.
Got one more question for you here in the back.
Have you utilized Instagram? A lot of women's fashion has been very successful just using normal models in everyday situations.
Okay, you know what, I haven't thought about that.
Excellent.
Very good idea.
Actually, I have a friend who ended up designing some clothes for Rihanna.
Really?
Because of some Instagram posts, which
That's
is
amazing.
like an amazing success story. We're going to need to wrap it up, but before we let you go, what can we as a community, you got about 300 people here, standing room only, what can we as a community do to help you?
I got everything through the Q&As. I'm looking for references to go the next distance in Kansas City, between Missouri and Kansas, and the sporting teams. And that's pretty much what I'm looking for.
Great.
That's
And
it.
we'll be able to see your product afterwards and ask any other questions. Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys.
Guys. Hi, guys. Okay, so we've got a bunch of announcements for you this week. It's going to be a very, very busy week, so bear with us. So as always, you have these awesome announcement sheets that we've got for you. Lists all the great stuff going on in Kansas City coming up soon. Amongst them, 1 Week KC, which we'll talk more about in a second. The Athena League, Startup Grind, Mozilla Gigabit Fund are all having events. And then not next week, in a couple of weeks, June 18th, we're having a special teacher-themed day here at 1 Million Cups, talking about educators as innovators. So if you know a teacher, I know y'all do, everybody knows a teacher, make sure you get them here. They have no excuse, it's summertime. So make sure we get the room full of teachers on that day. I think everybody's gonna get a lot out of it. So secondly, I don't know if you guys have heard of 1 Week KC. It's coming up. It's a really, really big deal. It's a week dedicated to events all over the city, all about entrepreneurs. And it's sponsored by like a couple of small startups that you might have heard of, like Sprint, the Kauffman Foundation, Garmin, UMB, KC SourceLink, KC EDC. I don't know. I was surprised. But so there's a whole lot of events. You can check out every single event on the website. There's events happening at the K. There's waffles. I'm really excited. Make sure you register in advance. They are filling up. And once it fills up, you're out of luck. So make sure you get your name on that list. Almost all of them are free. Maybe all of them are free. So that's 1 Week KC. Secondly, how many of you in this room have some kind of college degree or advanced certification or some other training, or you're working on that training? Awesome. So a lot of people. So you know how important specialized educational training is, right? There are a lot of educational programs in this city, and we're proud to be one of them. But you can always learn a little bit faster and more efficiently than just coming and showing up and listening to some presenters. So one of the programs that wants to help everyone in this room do that is the UMKC eScholars program through the Block School of Management. You can build your venture. They've got 120 mentors, and over the past 4 years, they've taken 200 companies through the program. Many, many of them have been successful. So check it out online. There's also going to be representatives in the back of the room. Tom, right here, is very friendly, and he'll help you. Cool. So I would really recommend applying to that program if you have a venture, you're looking for free legal help, incubator space, all of the above. Then, sorry, I have my last list. There is one more event for a future 1 Million Cups presenter. So it's not often that we get a chance to help someone before they actually present. But one of the upcoming presenters, Band of Angels, is having an event on First Fridays. There's a whole bevy of entrepreneurial events. This is just one of them. But if you're going to be in the Crossroads, check out the Band of Angels event called Art That Blows. And then finally, we have a very, very special announcement today. Brian and I have been doing this for a long time with Jason Kerrigan's help, and he left us, unfortunately. Typical men. So we had to find a bunch of people to help us out. So we wanted to bring up our new 1 Million Cups organizers and introduce them to you today. So come on up. So we've got, Brian, come here. Come here, I want the whole team. So Milton, Lance, and Courtney are our 3 new organizers. I'm sorry, Milton, Lance, and Courtney, just to be clear. We're now the team. There are 3 more people that you can ask your questions to about your business, about applying for 1 Million Cups, about announcements, because we get a ton of questions about that. Start asking them too. And so we're really excited to welcome them to the team. So, awesome. Okay. And without further ado, our second presenter came up from Wichita to help us out the last minute. So we're very appreciative to have them here. It's Dr. Josh and Dr. Doug from AtlasMD.
Like she said, my name's Dr. Josh, and this is Dr. Doug, my partner and co-founder. We're very proud to be able to participate with this event. We're very active in the Wichita startup community, and they'll be live streaming this later this afternoon, and so welcome, Wichita. Healthcare is broken, and we're here to fix it. You know, you can eat you can eat that elephant in one bite. You know, it's expensive, it's burdensome, there's red tape and hassle and inefficiency. And those are all things that we can take care of. So we founded AtlasMD September 2nd, 2010, with the simple idea that insurance complicates more things than it helps. So we built a model that does not take insurance. We charge a flat fee per month based on age for unlimited home visits, work visits, office visits, technology visits like email, cell phone, texting, Twitter, Facebook, and Skype. No copays ever for anything. Any procedure that we can do in the office is included free of charge, and that includes EKGs, laceration repair, biopsies, joint injections, ultrasounds, lung scans, bone scans, Holter monitors, urine testing, strep throat testing, and minor surgical procedures. And then, to make us even more unique, we offer medications and labs wholesale. And I'll let Dr. Doug explain just a little more.
Yeah, so the point is to make healthcare more affordable. So for us, it's a per month fee. Children are $10. Most adults are $50, but it's $50, $75, or $100 just depending on age. And again, it's unlimited visits. Well, we wanted to sweeten the deal with discounted medications and labs. So blood work, a normal blood count might be $30 that you could get going into a lab. We do it for $1.87. That's what we charge patients. Prilosec, it's over the counter, but I can order a bottle of 1,000 pills and it costs $55. So I can dispense that for just a few dollars a month to my patients. So we're making healthcare more affordable. Now let's think about insurance. Insurance isn't the enemy, we're just going about it wrong. So let's think about using car insurance like we use health insurance. You go to pay for gas, you use your insurance. Don't know how much it costs, it's not listed on the pump. The person at the pump next to you, different price because they have a different policy. After a few months, you'll get your explanation of benefits, and they'll tell you how much of the gas they did or didn't pay for. They'll tell you where you can get gas, what grade of fuel you can get, and you'd have to pre-approve a trip out of town. Nobody would do that, but that's what we're trying to do in healthcare. It's broken.
So we're trying to fix that again, but because you don't need health insurance for family medicine, that's the most affordable part we can offer. And that's the bulk of what most people need in a given year. So now we can go in and carve out all the extra pieces from your insurance policy because now you're getting meds for a penny or two a pill. You're getting labs for pennies on the dollar. You have unlimited access and no copays. So those are all features that we can carve out of a bloated insurance plan to bring premiums down for an employer by 30 to 60%. We can lower health insurance premiums so much that employees get a raise. For one of our companies, Johnson Garden Center, local in Wichita, they were actually at a very difficult point several years back of, do we drop health insurance or do we drop employees? We were able to decrease their insurance premiums by 55% year one so that they were able to maximize their insurance options to employees while paying for our unlimited services. You just don't hear family physicians doing that in this model. Healthcare only gets more and more expensive and is costing jobs. We want to revitalize communities and employers because we can lower the cost of that and funnel that back to the employer to do more good with.
And we're considered some of the thought leaders in this part of medicine. Direct primary care is really what it's referred to. Concierge is what people are familiar with, but that's typically targeted at the 1%. But anyone in marketing knows that if you market to only 1% of your total market, you're only ever going to get 1% of that market. So we want to market to everyone. So we've actually flown around the country speaking to other physicians and clinics. A lot of physicians are burning out. There are some studies that 40 to 50% of physicians would tell people going into medicine, don't go into medicine. That's pretty sad. So we've helped doctors who were otherwise just going to retire early, and some, due to legislation, have actually left the profession entirely. Well, all of those patients are now left without a physician because their doctor left medicine. We need to fix that, and we've transitioned physicians. We developed our own medical software to run our clinic to do billing because, like any business, I see a patient, I deliver a service, I send them an invoice. We don't deal with insurance, there's no backlog, it just turns into what every other business does. So no software really did that, so we've spent the last 3 years developing our own and are actually licensing it out to physicians around the country.
We didn't go to med school to fill out paperwork. We went to take care of patients. And so we had to create a system that let us do that. And in the beginning, we had 9 different software platforms that didn't speak to each other, most of which weren't mobile, and one of which actually ran on Internet Explorer only, much to my chagrin. So we brought that all under one umbrella to make doctors maximally efficient. The average number of employees is 7 employees per physician to run a doctor's office. We have 3 physicians and 1.5 staff. That means all of that savings is passed on to you directly as the customer, but indirectly to your employer and to the insurance company. So we're now working with insurance companies like Allied National, based out of Overland Park, and the CEO, Bill Ashley, to show that we can decrease those premiums in combination with an insurance company. So this isn't anti-insurance. We just want it better. We want it to work like car and home and auto, where there's competition and quality and affordability.
So we can, the longest we've ever spoken about this at one time was 4.5 hours. So
this is the abbreviated version.
We can keep going until people stop asking questions, but it's time for some Q&A.
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you, gentlemen. Raise your hand if you have a question.
Got a question here in the middle.
Brilliant idea. I have a lot of questions here. First of all, how do you handle hospitalization? And secondly, I have a client in Wichita who have a strong interest in speaking with you. And doctors that do sign up with you, what is the downside of their accepting your idea? Because there's got to be a downside to everything. I'm sure it outweighs the upside outweighs the down, but what would be the resistance by doctors to accept your model?
So I'll take the first question and let Doug take the second. As far as hospital coverage, one, our goal is to keep you out of the hospital. We decrease ER visits, urgent care visits, and special referrals, as well as hospitalizations, and that's a big part of the savings that we can offer to the insurance company. But for some of those things, the car wrecks, the cancers, the heart attacks of life, you want insurance. We want you to have insurance, but we just want it to be much more affordable so you have the disposable income to use as you see fit. But in the model, again, we have unlimited time, so we can spend as much time with you as we need to keep you out of the hospital.
I think I can speak more to actually the third question. What are the downsides? I think this is the way we've always done it. Physicians are very risk adverse. They don't want to change. They don't want to stop doing what they're doing. We're trained to take insurance. We're trained to document as an insurance company wants you to in order to do billing. So changing what you've always done and what you've been taught is very, very difficult. So that's, I think, the main thing. People just don't want to take that leap of faith, but when they do, I think, one downside is you have to spend more time with your family, so, you've got that to deal with, but it's, you're getting physicians back into a lifestyle. We had one, been practicing for 25 years, and he said for 15 of it, he just didn't enjoy it. And less than a month after transitioning to this model, he called us and said, this is great. I get up looking forward to going to work again.
I'd say the downside's in the transition. Doctors are not entrepreneurs by nature. We're trained to do what's been done and proven. Entrepreneurs, by definition, look out into the darkness and see what hasn't been done, and how can I do that? So it's just an interesting dichotomy for an entrepreneurial physician. They don't have to. 1/3 of our patients have no insurance, but we do recommend that and we help employers find cheaper insurance.
And some of the people that are stuck are actually those that, there are, free clinics and community clinics, but the people that get kind of stuck are those that make too much for assistance, but not enough to actually afford health insurance. So they're stuck paying the absolute full price for everything. And we've decreased the cost for a lot of those people. Again, they save more on healthcare than they're spending with us, so they're actually making money just by seeing us.
We got a question here in the back.
What do you do when you, I guess you're probably trying to get more doctors on. What do you do? You can only see so many patients, so what do you do when you've reached whatever you've determined is probably your maximum number of patients? Or, there's only 2 of you, so, do you bring more doctors on?
We actually have a 3rd physician, Dr. Michael, who's manning the ship right now. We cap out at roughly 600 patients per doctor, but we're busy doing a lot of the outreach programs like this. The average physician has 3,000 to 4,000 patients, so it is a dramatic drop, but now you're spending more time with those. This model lives and dies on quality, so even though I could make more money by doubling my patient load, the patient experience would suffer. So we're very sensitive to that part, but the goal would just be to add more providers. Absolutely.
Are you also working with PAs as well?
Mid-levels work well in this model in combination with physicians. Mm-hmm.
And so what type of feedback are you getting back from the insurance companies now?
Sometimes it takes a little bit of work, but once they realize what we're doing, it's kind of interesting. Talked to the CEO of Allied National. He said, you're telling me that I, as an insurance company, am going to make more money by lowering my premiums. He said, that just doesn't make sense. I said, yeah, it does, because number one, more patients can afford it now, so you're selling more policies. But about 30 to 40% of what insurance companies spend is primary care. So I'm cutting all that out. I never bill the insurance company for what I do. But 80% of the paperwork that is done in an insurance company is primary care. So if I can cut out 40% of your cost and 80% of your paperwork and overhead, yeah, I'm going to make you more money.
And that's true just for family medicine, but then when you include the co-pays, procedures, the ER visits, the medicines, the labs, we outcompete Walmart. We actually told Walmart that when we were in Bentonville, April 12, 2012, if it's on their $4 list, we typically get it for a penny or two a pill. So if Walmart wants to outcompete us, the little guy, they're going to have to give it away, which is just great for the consumer. So there's a lot of interesting aspects to this.
Got a question here at the left.
Hi, Trey Herdig. I actually work for an insurance company.
Fantastic.
We're very much interested in products like this. We actually have a dental capitated product where we run a similar network for dentists in the South. So I'm curious, I mean, you covered the 600 patients per doctor, but do you have any doctors that are all in where this is the only source of income that they're using, or what is a typical balance where?
That's what we do. No insurance at all in our clinic.
So how many doctors are signed up?
Well, we have 3 in our clinic, but the buzzword of direct primary care is a national trend rapidly going across the country. The American Academy of Family Physicians, based out of Leawood, is actively sponsoring this, and we're working with them. So there's several hundred physicians doing this model across the country, but growing rapidly. And I think we're just going to click over into the early majority of the innovation bell curve, where now 14 or 15% of polled physicians say they would transition into this model if they knew how. So that's a fantastic opportunity for the insurance companies. And you're right, it's capitation, but without the paperwork. So it's really, in a lot of ways, nothing new. But
yeah, healthcare, primary care, and insurance really are parallel products.
You need both.
Yeah, you need both, but they really shouldn't intermingle. That is the product that's broken.
So let's follow up afterwards, because we don't have a health product for our division. We get a nationwide distribution.
Fantastic.
Got a question here in the center.
Love the idea. The question that comes to mind is, if this doesn't meet the requirement, what is left in terms of the individual responsibility requirement? Does this meet it or not?
You're talking about the Affordable Care Act?
Yes, correct.
Yeah.
Great question.
Section 1301A3 of the Affordable Care Act actually lists primary care, direct primary care, when coupled with a qualified plan. Now, us being in Kansas, I helped in Topeka pass a bill called the Mandate Light legislation that essentially allows insurance companies to continue to write policies that are not Affordable Care Act qualified. Now, there is the penalty and fines that come with that. If they're less than what the extra cost would have been, then you make out well. But this is written into the Affordable Care Act. So.
And actually, a bronze plan works beautiful for this. A lot of people assume because we're insurance free that health care or health insurance reform is somehow a detriment to our model. We love Obama.
Yeah,
he's the direct primary care salesman of the year, because as the cost of healthcare goes up and our cost stays flat, the delta between the two continues to show that this is a valuable model. What we love about our product is that it's really apolitical. People from both sides of the aisle look at it and see it as a good product and apply it to what they, their political preference is. So if you're pro the Affordable Care Act, you see this as being more efficient ways to spend the federal dollars to get more care for the same amount of money. That's a benefit. If you're from the right side of the aisle, you see this as a free market solution, and they're both right. That's the funny part. So that's for the individual. Now, for employers, we recommend they move to an ERISA plan where they partially self-funded because they can see a return on their premium dollars. We had Johnson's Garden Center receives up to 30% of their premiums back each year because of how we can effectively manage their health insurance. And ERISA plans do not have to comply with the same rules and regulations of the Affordable Care Act.
It's ERISA, if anybody's wondering.
And we can talk about that.
Got a question here in the middle.
Not so much a question. There's an organization just began here in Kansas City of independent physicians who want to do this. Would you like to know about them?
Yes.
Okay, I'll talk to you.
Okay, wonderful.
And Brian wanted to know if I was going to sing. I said no.
Well, I don't know, sing us a few tunes, maybe.
Got a question here on your left.
Great presentation. I come from New York, and this is like the model of I know a guy. And
Yes.
I have a lot of questions, but I'd like to talk to you afterwards
Okay.
about them. But one of the things I want to commend you on is you've kind of taken it back to patient care and prevention. The other thing is, what does your malpractice look like? I mean, is that an issue?
It is something that we're actually trying to work with malpractice insurers, you know, given the fact that on average we'll see 5 or 6 patients a day, not 20, 30, 40. So our overall exposure is less. Our outcomes are better. You can look at a lot of metrics that show that. So we're trying to work with insurers to show that our malpractice really should be quite a bit less because we're able to take better care of things, miss less.
And in Kansas, we're pretty lucky. It's reasonable compared to other states.
Got a question here in the back left?
So if I understand this correct, other than your own office, basically you guys are trying to sell the software to other physicians. What do you sell the software for? How do you sell it? And is there a competitor?
Is there a competitor? Was that the last part? Okay. So yeah, we've taken the position that in medicine, the grand tradition and part of the great oath that we take is to share our knowledge with other docs. You know, older docs did it for us. We'll do it for younger docs. So for the business model, we're not doing the consulting work for paid work. Well, we're doing that for free to launch the movement. We need every doctor doing this model to do it successfully, as opposed to kind of start up and crash and risk traction. So we're doing that part for free. The software is where we benefit. If we get more doctors using that, wonderful. It's $300 per month, software as a service type model for a flat rate, and that's per provider. And that includes everything you need to run your office, from online enrollment, medical charting, the prescription inventory management, the invoicing, the merchant services, integrating Twilio for text messages and Twitter and yada yada. So I've got my entire chart here, and I've been using it right before we came up. So,
got a question for you here.
And there's no competitors. There's no one else in this space because it's a niche space right now, but we'll change.
Hi, guys. Thanks very much for your presentation. I'm from South Africa, so I might be a little bit slow, and I might not exactly get the concept. Are you guys, how do you give a service for so much cheaper? Are you cutting out the insurers for certain procedures besides hospital procedures? And yeah, just explain a little bit more about that, please.
Sure. So in traditional medicine here in the States, 50 years ago, you saw your physician, you paid him with chickens or gold or dinner, just whatever. But we've gotten to where everything is insurance now. So you walk in, you give them your insurance card, somewhere back in the back room, the magic happens, and sometimes 3 to 6 months later, the physician will actually get paid for their work, not what they billed, but whatever the insurance company has deemed appropriate for that work. We remove all of that, so we're considerably cheaper because we cut out all of that overhead and all of the middlemen to offer just using a free market.
Cash is king. It's always cheaper that way, and healthcare has just so much bloat in it. EKG pads are 3.5 cents each. I can absorb that as the cost of doing business. It's not worth my time and energy to even try to bill you for it, so we can offer EKGs for free. MRIs we get for an 80% discount by going cash. Most things we expect a 60 to 80% discount. Meds and labs we expect a 95% discount. So just
Do
by
you have
going around the red tape models.
A follow-up?
Well, thank you. Yeah.
Well, thanks. Well, thank you for traveling.
Yeah.
Got a question for you here on.
I'm from Florida, and a great presentation. Thanks you for coming today. I'm working with a medical billing company, so what I want to try to get this straight now. Your practice, your association, your philosophy is that your office conducts and performs no medical billing for reimbursement, correct?
Correct. I haven't coded anything in 3.5 years, and we're probably some of the happiest physicians. Yeah.
Question over here to the far left.
I was wondering if you could discuss briefly your pricing model and how you came up with the pricing. And we've had some similar, I won't use the C word because I'm sure I haven't heard it, so I'm assuming there's some political baggage with it. But we've had a couple practices here in Kansas City that have gone under, and so I'd be curious to hear about the pricing model.
Actually, one of our good friends, Dr. Michael Katausan, started a practice, Exclusive MD, several years ago, and actually, unfortunately, went under for a variety of personal and business reasons, but he's doing fine now. Our pricing model is, we kind of reverse engineered it. We knew we wanted to make it as affordable as possible. Growing up, my dad was a trash man for 20 years. He's a lawyer now, so I still tell people he's a trash man. It's less embarrassing. So, that was just such a simple service. You paid, and we picked it up. Even we picked up if you didn't pay. And so we wanted to get something that was affordable for the everyday person. And we knew that the average income was $150 for a physician. We wanted it to do better than that to maximize the adoption of this model. We rounded up to $200,000 for income. We said $120,000 for overhead. We rounded up from there because everything costs more. And we got to a nice round number of $360 a year, divided by 12 months, that's $30,000 a month. And globally, the idea that a concierge doctor like ourselves could take between 400 and 600 patients, we took the 600 figure, $30,000 a month divided by 60 came out really nicely to $50 a month. Well, we knew kids are cheap, and there's a lot of them, and that's our loss leader. We wanted to give that away because you have to make that affordable. But also, there's less I can do for your kids. They don't need daily meds or daily labs or those sort of things where I can show you the savings. So we did an age-based model of $10 for kids, $50, $75, or $100 for adults for the age ranges. And then $50 is our corporate rate for all adults. But I had a woman who's 57, uninsured, paying $106 a month for a medicine I can get for $1.05 a month. She doesn't care that her membership's $75. She's making $75. So in that sense, her membership may be higher than the kids, but I'm doing so much more for her. There's so many more opportunities for an older patient for us to save them money. So that's how we got to the price range we got.
Question here in the center.
Sorry to the question. How do you, are you marketing directly to the patients or to the clients? Because soundly you're targeting physicians. So for example, if I'm paying $600 a month for my health insurance, how would I know about you unless I see the pricing and talk to an employer to go up the chain? So have you done that type of marketing? Going directly to the patient saying, talk to the owner of your company, consider this idea?
I've even snared a couple of waiters to talk to their, the restaurant owner about signing up. Anywhere and everywhere we can. We haven't actually advertised since February of last year, and we still grow at anywhere from sometimes 5 to 10 patients a week just from word of mouth down in Wichita. But initially, yeah, we were marketing to individuals, usually
radio.
Well, yeah, mostly radio and to women because they're more often than not, they're the healthcare decision makers of the family.
We'll talk to anyone who won't walk away though. So yeah, we pound the pavement. We talk to employers, insurance agents, individuals. Probably the reason we pitch more to doctors is because they're slower. They just don't get it, They're like, yeah, but how can it be that easy? Like, I can't be doing it this wrong for this long. And you're coming along and say, I make more money seeing fewer patients, providing better care that's cheaper, and then the sky is bluer and the air is cleaner. Like, so patients just hear, oh, I get better health care for less money. Yeah, sign me up. Like Netflix, it's better than Blockbuster. It is. Doctors are the ones who need the explaining.
Question here to the left.
Love the idea. You mentioned you've
gone past the early adopters as far as physicians goes, right?
We're on
Where's
that
critical
verge.
mass? Where's critical mass?
Well, I think critical mass, if you define that by the innovation bell curve, I think it is at 13, 14, 15%, where 3.5 years ago when we started this, our attending physicians told us it'll never work. That they were charging $150 per visit, trying to see 6 patients per hour, and we're struggling to make ends meet. And we're going to tell them we're going to charge $50 a month for unlimited visits to fewer people and make more money. It didn't seem plausible. And so now, in I think a relatively short period of time, 3.5 years, it's gone to, now we're up at right at that cliff, that 13, 14%, where we could break into the early majority, get insurance. Now they have 3.5 years of experience and several other successful models like this across the country to say, okay, yeah, this is a real thing, this is working, it's been vetted, it's helping employers, and there's a need for it. So I think that's our critical mass. As healthcare gets to a point where it's just unaffordable, now then you see a solution, you adopt it.
Well, and one of the struggles too is new physicians, young physicians don't want to go into primary care. They in training as a medical student, you rotate through all the specialties, and on family medicine, you'll deliver a baby, go to the ER, run a code, see somebody in the ICU, and then you get to the clinic and you just fall apart. You say, seeing this many patients is just terrible. I don't want to do this. So nobody wants to go into primary care because of that. So we've actually talked to many med schools and residencies about the fact that you can practice medicine like this. Imagine Marcus Welby with an iPhone. That's what we have. A lot of technology at our fingertips, but kind of old school medicine, just back to the patient. It's
Marcus Welby tweeting. Yeah.
Without the cameras on him all the time.
Exactly.
We got a quick question up front.
So from the patient side, the thing that excites me the most is this virtual experience. Like I maybe go to the doctor, I'm lucky as a young person, I only go to the doctor once a year. It's usually for bronchitis. I just want someone to write me a script for a Z-Pak and be done.
Which you don't need.
Which you shouldn't do.
Yeah, bronchitis is viral.
It's viral.
Well,
and he's not guilty. Everybody's guilty. Everybody goes to their doctor, asks for an antibiotic, and if we could say one thing, that's just you don't need that. It's
well,
bad
worked.
news.
So,
yeah. So you don't need to go anymore. Save your money.
One of the things. So what are the limitations of the virtual experience? So if someone has like a strep throat or something, you shove the camera down there and look, or what are the limitations, and when do you do a home visit? And
that's the beautiful part. The limitations, I think, are endless. Google is now working very closely with Medline.
Limitations are endless?
Did I say that? Yeah. Irregardless. Yeah.
Nice.
As technology continues to adapt, there's just more and more opportunity for us to communicate with our patients. There's a company, MedWand, that's trying to be a home device that will check blood pressure and look in your ears, and there's all this wonderful technology.
They have iPhone cases that have basically EKG leads on them. You just basically set it on your chest and you get
a great
an
example.
So I can see something. If you have an abnormal heart rhythm at home, all you need is that. Put it on. Oh yeah, we need
tweet that
to do
to your
something about
doctor,
that.
and so probably said best by Apple Monday releasing their health book. They're going to probably create a national standard for programming language for communicating that healthcare data, something that no one else has been able to do, but Apple will probably do in the span of months. And so now we already integrate with your Fitbit, your wireless scale, your blood pressure cuff. I want 1,000 patients weighing on 1,000 scales, and we can tell if you're going to go into the hospital for congestive heart failure based on your weight alone. Prevent a hospitalization at $30,000, boy, you're doing really good. We need the free flow of communication there, and so that's where patients will benefit a lot. And sure, there's younger patients. So there'll be a Kia and a Mercedes. Some people just need care a few times a year, and some people want AAA all year long, but we'll meet their need.
Doctors, thank you. Before I let you go, what can we as a community do to help you?
What we need most is a grassroots movement. We need patients kind of pounding the pavement and demanding this from their doctors. Doctors are shy. They don't want to change. It's hard to change. They're risk adverse. But they know the current system isn't working for them or their patients. So when they see that patients are eager to get a better service and pay for that, ironically at a huge savings to themselves, they'll respond in kind.
And there's a
So-
website we actually created just out of curiosity more than anything called iwantdirectcare.com. And you can put your pin on the map, and it's actually kind of funny to see, almost the entire country is just a big pin now with
And
people all
Vietnam.
over the country that really do, they want this.
Yeah. So speak with your feet.
Thank you very much. Excellent presentation. Thank you for coming out. We've got a recycling bin in the back. If you see some paper next to you that's on the chair on the floor, if you can help us out, that'd be great. And we'd love it if you can pick up your coffee cups. The presenters will be over here if you have any follow-up questions for them. And we'll be back next week with 2 more entrepreneurs. Thanks for coming out.